The weather is always a sure topic of conversation wherever you live. But if you live in Southeast, it's more than just something to talk about. It's a fact of daily life. Hello, I'm Scott Foster. Welcome to Rain Country, a program that takes its name from our weather, although in a more liquid form than we find today. But this is just an example of the variety that we have in our weather. A few facts. On the historic average, Juneau gets most of its snow in December and January, averaging about 23 inches in each month. The wettest month is October, 7 inches of rain. It's warmest in July, where the average temperature is 56 degrees. It's coldest in January, average temperature 23. There's also a surprising amount of variety in our weather in just the short 10-mile distance between downtown and the valley. Downtown is wetter, almost twice as much rain. But it's warmer, only one day a year below freezing or below zero in downtown and 10 days below zero out in the valley. And not surprisingly, there are 25 more growing days downtown than in the valley. Well, the point of all this is that some of us just talk about the weather and then go off to work. But others go off to the work just so they can talk about the weather.
Since weather affects us every day, it's all around you. It's one of the more interesting things, and one of the things that you get, it's going to impact everybody's life to some extent or another. You know, even if it's as little as what am I going to wear today? That's a weather phenomena that has impacted everybody. And so we do talk about weather a lot.
The 1 p.m. weather observations for Southeast Alaska.
While everyone talks about the weather, for those who work at the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Juneau, it's their day-to-day job. The Forecast Office is operated 24 hours, 7 days a week, and is constantly updating a variety of forecasts for the communities and waterways of Southeast Alaska.
The foundation of all good forecasts is observations. Without good observations, the forecast cannot be good. We get observations from a number of sources. Surface observations come in from places not only in Southeast Alaska, but from all over the state and actually all over the world. We have them from flight service people in Sitka and from Ketchikan and from Juneau here. And then we have certain people who are paid by the Weather Service. We call them A-paid observers. And they take a set number of observations every day. And we have a number of them in Southeast Alaska. These are the stations like Haines and Skagway and Wrangell and Petersburg and places like that. Twice a day at about 0Z and 12Z Greenwich Mean Time, which is about Juneau time, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 3 o'clock in the morning. There are stations all over the world that release balloons, and these contain a big weather balloon. It's got a package about that size that contains electronic equipment that will record and transmit back to their parent station the upper air. It gives you kind of a snapshot of the atmosphere as it goes up, and all of this data is then combined and put back into a central computer in Washington and for our processing use.
The observations and various data from weather balloons and satellites are fed to a computer in Washington, D.C. The information becomes part of many mathematical equations that predict where various pressure areas and weather fronts will be in 12, 24, 36, and 48 hours. Maps are drawn to show the computer's analysis.
Then it's up to us to determine what clouds are going to be formed by that frontal system or by that low pressure system, and what weather patterns, what weather features will come from that. A forecaster, through his experience, will see things developing maybe on a satellite, maybe driving to work in the morning. Forecasters are people. They look around in the morning when they're driving to work. They see whether it's a sunny day or a cloudy day. So they start to think about their job as they're driving in the morning. Actually, when they get up, they look outside and see whether it's nice out or not nice out. And so you start to think about things like that, and you start to feel a little bit. And if you work 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row and you've had this background of knowledge that you've worked with the last 2 or 3 days, you kind of get a feel for the weather, and you expect a certain thing when you come in your next shift. And you look at the weather patterns, you get a briefing from the person that you're relieving, and you start to think about, okay, this is what I saw yesterday, this is what I saw the day before, this is what I expected, and this is what's occurring, and this is what the guy told me just now is occurring and what he thinks, and this is what the model is telling me, and this is what I see on the satellite, and I bet you 5 years ago, I think I remember a case like this where this happened. See, all of this gets put together in the forecaster's brain as he is working this, and this is how he develops what he is going to actually type out on the KCRT, on our communication system, to put out as a forecast to the populace.
A variety of influences make forecasting for southeast Alaska challenging.
Time of the year makes a big difference. Summertime is our least accurate time because the weather systems are very, very weak and they're very nebulous. And so trying to hit the summertime systems are very, very hard because there's not something you really hang your hat onto. It's not a big, strong system coming through. It's comes in a weak little piddly crud thing that comes through, and we're going to miss those more often in the summertime than we will in the wintertime. In southeast Alaska, the mountains, the topography are one of the biggest. They are probably the single biggest reason for the divergence in weather around here, the differences in weather. They are the biggest cause of precipitation around here. You get the air hits the mountains, goes up, it cools off, and it precipitates. That's one of the big mechanisms for causing precipitation.
And that precipitation can vary dramatically in just a few miles. For example, the driest location in the Juneau area is the airport, the official recording station for the community. Less than 60 inches of rain is recorded there in an average year. 10 miles away in West Juneau, the precipitation doubles to just over 120 inches a year. And across the channel in downtown Juneau, the rainfall level drops 20 inches to average about 100 inches a year. These changes over a small area illustrate another difficulty in predicting southeast weather.
We try to get what the predominant condition is going to be over these broad areas and hope that the people who live in these areas and who are going to be in these areas will recognize the individual quirks, if you will, of those locations. For example, we have a forecast for Icy Strait. Icy Strait's a big area, and it's quite wide open. So you get a southeasterly wind in there of maybe 20 knots. I have talked to a fellow that lives over on the south side of Lemishire Island, and he knows that when we put out a southeast wind 20, it's probably going to be southeast to 30 at his area. Why? Because he's at an area where Lemishire Island and the north portion of the island south of his constrict. And so the winds are going to be a little stronger in there. And so he knows this. And so he has used our forecast, even though our forecast may not be exact for his area, he knows what it's like in his area, and so he gets a picture of the weather, and he can plan based on that, and it's fairly consistent. And the same thing has got to be true in other areas around the state as well.
Learning how to modify a forecast for a general area to a specific location is a good start in adapting to southeast weather. And adapting is about all one can do when it comes to the weather.
As far as changing it, we can't do very much at all. Nothing. We can try to alert people when severe weather is coming. We can try to tell people when a change is coming. And I think we hit the big changes pretty well. We missed some of the little ones, but we want to tell people what we think the weather is going to be so that people can use that information to prepare. As Leif, our boss, says, you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And I guess that's what we try to do. We try to give people a bit of information so they can be prepared and are not caught unaware if something bad happens.